My theory on how music started, some caveman or something heard some sound and it felt good and wanted to recreate it. And I think that's why it's till this point when we hear good news that has nothing to do with music, we may say, oh, it's music to my ears.
I took a Paganini, his 24th Caprice, and put over these like ratchet distorting 808s.
I love that.
And had like sacrilegious.
I want kids from Southside Chicago to hear this and go, I've never heard this before, and I understand the beat.
Because a lot of my early music was so rhythmically and melodically active. Like, just literally my phrases were just, like, people they can't process that.
Yeah, it's taken a lot of work, and it's taken a lot of therapy to be like, I don't care what y'all think.
I want to be the greatest musical servant that I can be. Well, I love what y'all are saying because I feel like one of the, I'm just gonna be vulnerable and say it. I feel like because I didn't have the skill, I didn't feel like I had the skill to be in this industry. In the very beginning of my career, I was seeking external validation to know that I am good enough to be here. And it's taken a lot of personal, internal work to finally get to this place where, as I feel like I identify with the misfit, it's like, no, I actually don't have to go for people's external validation. So now when I stand on stage, whether you boo me or whether you love me, I'm just here to express. Because that is just the only thing I know how to do. I guess my question is, was there ever a time where you felt like y'all were trying to do this for the external validation, or did you always feel like you were just trying to express?
I feel like I'm still doing it for external validation, but in a way that for me feels healthy. I've changed who I need that validation from.
Oh, that's good.
Because for me, I feel like my theory on how music started, some caveman or something heard some sound and it felt good and wanted to recreate it. And I think that's why it's till this point when we hear good news that has nothing to do with music, we may say, oh, it's music to my ears, because it's a feeling. And so when I go on stage, for me personally, what drives me, and I've been that like since I was a kid, I was like the attention. I'm here to perform, I'm here to entertain. I want you to feel a certain way. And my goal is to do something to inspire that again. Not to make good music. Not to I know it's good music when they're entertained, because they decide what good music is, as far as I'm concerned, the listener. Like, yeah, I'm the first listener, but I'm only one. And so if 10 people in the classical community say, that's not Mozart, but 100,000 people have reshared that video, I'm not likely to take the opinion of the four.
Right.
Honestly, I used to really need a lot of external validation, especially when I had a handful of videos go very viral on social media, and going from not having any following to like a relatively larger following, and seeing all the comments, and like I think that really honestly kind of distorted a lot of my mental space for a long time. And I don't know, it was just weird to have this sort of like second perception of everything I was doing, because I was always imagining how people would respond, what would be the comments, and I also had a lot of hate. For instance, I took a Paganini, his 24th Caprice, and put over these like ratchet distorting 808s.
I love that.
And had like sacrilegious, like really, and it got reshared by Classic FM or, some like big classical blog or whatever. But, just to deal with that, it took me a long time to honestly heal. And I'm finishing up my album now, and I'm in a place where I truly don't care what people think, because when I listen to it, I move to tears. I have chills. And also more importantly, it's like for me, for my faith, it's like I'm doing this to glorify. And that really centers me a lot in that. There are moments, of course, where I'm like, I don't want to let down fans, or I don't want to give a bad show. I want, of course I care about always being at my best, but not in the way that I used to. And I think that's just a part of growing and honestly just maturing, where you understand that creation isn't mine, creation is ours. I just picked out one tiny little thread and strand and brought it to life to share. And I think it's really given me a lot of peace, and I think a lot more confidence to be more daring and bold, instead of being like, oh no, what will the algorithm do? It's like, I don't give an F about the algorithm anymore. Right. And I've built a career where I'm able to have gigs and money aside of the algorithm. Yeah. And I think I'm very fortunate to be in that place, because not everybody is. And I just, it's taken a lot of work, and it's taken a lot of therapy to be like, I don't care what y'all think. If I'm happy, I'm rocking with it.
I love that, and I don't want to jump in because I don't want you to answer as well, but.
I think that's an incredible place to be in as well. Just like the fully embedding yourself in your own process, and then just being able to disregard or dismiss the importance, quote unquote, from other people's perception of what you're doing. Like, I just think that's a magic spot to be in, especially when there are so many people paying attention to what you're doing. To achieve that level of peace is that's great. For me, I think I'm in a space of less about seeking validation, but more so about creating with consideration for the listener. Because a lot of my early music was so rhythmically and melodically active, like just literally my phrases were just, like people they can't process that. Right. And I made so much music that I feel like the primary value of it was what I got from expressing it, but when people listen to it, they wouldn't be like, that's vibey, or like I felt that, they'd be like, oh, that's cool. And I kind of wanted to reach a more transparent, relatable space with the music, where I create in service for the listener's experience, right? Not changing like what it is or where I'm pulling from and how I create, but just like making certain accommodations that like you can sing this when you're at your outdoor cookout, right. Or like, you can play this for grandma as well as, little cousin Fanny, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's more universal. So I'm just trying to be more considerate, and I really try. Actually, Maurice Hines is my mentor. I try to say his name everywhere I go. He recently passed, but he was my mentor for like 15 plus years. And he would always tell me, he's like, when I do a show, he's like, I never read my reviews.
Oh man, that's good.
He said, I never read my reviews. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, even if they're great? He's like, yeah, because if it's great, then if they say it's great, then I'll believe them. And I was like, well, what about if it's bad? He's like, yeah, if they say it's bad, I'll believe them. Right. And I was like, that's a magical space to be in. Right in the middle, right in the middle.
I have one thing I want to just say, because it made me think of this. I think like the thing about what we do is we can sculpt things as needed, right? Like, I don't know if it feels this way for you guys, but you have like an idea, because you said something about, the fans and the people who love what you do and are, devoted to what you do and serving them. And I think that's always there. And I think you can kind of like shape ideas with that in mind, but it's still who you are. Right. Does that make sense? Like, you're still like accessing something that you deeply believe in, but the way that you decide to sculpt it, where you can think of like, oh, I want to give them this, and I can present it in this way where I feel like this will really resonate and inspire and serve, but it's still at its core this like DNA that you can't change, because that's who you are. I think it's like this fine balance of like sort of your mentor of like, you really deeply care, but it's not going to change the DNA of who you are.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I feel like with what you're saying, and I think this is one of the things that I think Misfits do extremely well once they've had that personal journey. There's such a level of intention and clarity, knowing exactly the reason why you do your art. Because I think when you're studying and learning tap dance, recording artists, like when you're learning violin, when you're learning, opera, at this point, you're just trying to gain the lexicon that you need, right? But you don't necessarily understand why, you just know that you love it. as you mature, at least this is what I feel, I've matured and realized, well, what is my goal with this lexicon? Like a lexicon is just language, tools, but there's no emotion behind it unless I give the intention of emotion.
Yeah.
Once I finally realized that, I go, wait, well, with everything I've been doing with the cello beatbox and stuff, it's people outside of the world getting to hear it and say, wow, this is different. Oh, my 5-year-old just saw that, now I want to play, right? Oh, I just saw you add your voice to classical music. Wait, I didn't think the two, pop and classical or hip hop could even come together. So I realized my intention was, I want to be, I know that people talk about the greatest, or like for me, it's not, I could care less about those statements. I want to be the greatest musical servant that I can be. So what does that mean for the myriad people out there that have never heard classical music, that have never seen what you do, that have never seen what you do? Well, I want to be attentive to what they're listening to. And that clarity of me, for me, means I am now finally okay, because I am clear about my thoughts, about what I want to do, that no one else in this community will like it, or they will have something to say about it. It's like, I'm so clear about my purpose that your opinion actually doesn't matter, because I know what I've been called to do. And it's to inspire the person that you think should not be in this space. The person that looks at this and goes, oh, I could never. It's like, oh no, I want the kid from this one song on my album called Hallelujah. I remember this.
Is that what you played for me?
Yeah, bro.
Right.
Thank you, man.
Right. Dude, the first time I heard it, I got like teary-eyed. I was like, and I said, we're gonna be okay. That's the first thing I said. I was like, we're gonna be okay.
I'll play it for you.
It's
I'll
the
play it for
perfect
you.
balance of all the attributes you're saying. Just like
Thank
your
you.
like, y'all, you better be ready for this album. Sorry, keep going with what you were saying.
I appreciate that,
You know what I'm
man.
saying?
I remember the first time I played it for my label, and one of the people said, I feel like the classical music's just not like inherent enough. It's the beats that I feel like maybe we can pull that back. And I said it with respect, because I think it was just us learning to have a conversation about what this art's supposed to be about, because I think they might not have had clarity, and I knew my clarity, but I didn't maybe communicate it as clear as I would have liked to. I said, no, I want kids from Southside Chicago to hear this and go, I've never heard this before, and I understand the beat.
Right.
This is fire.
Right.
Like, and that just opens up a whole window of kids that go, I didn't even know that this could relate to me.
Yeah.
Like, I see somebody that understands where I come from, or I can see somebody that I can relate to finally, who has maybe what I've seen in my culture, like the swagger that they have all that, but they're doing it with a completely different ethos or a completely different sound that I've never heard. What better thing as artists to do that? So I think it comes from just like this sense of like clarity.
Yeah.
And if you have that, like, their opinions don't matter.
Yeah, and what you do is so unique too, like just what you've been able to achieve just in terms of that own clarity, not just of self, but in your art form. Like, it's also just technically incredibly impressive. Just like,
thank you.
Yeah, man, you really hit a stride that, you know, I'm inspired by, and I know all of us are inspired by, and you've contributed to the culture in great ways.
Yeah,
So.
truly.
That's dope.
I don't know how you do it.
I'm still trying to figure it out daily.
My man dancing too. I'm like, yo, he got the two step. How you got the two step debate? And the cello. What's up, man?
Months
Yo,
of
that's
conversation off your first viral cello beatboxing. Months of conversation just off of that.
Oh, man, that's so kind.
Months of conversations.
Thank
It was
you, I
so-
appreciate
It's like, it was
it.
so
And it's
inspiring. It was
fresh.
like,
Yo,
there's no
appreciate y'all,
separation
man.
between
Thank
you and
y'all.
your music. Like, it's like you were just connected to your instrument. And it was just like, oh, all the life experiences that have got him to this point, I hear it through, like, he has this instrument. That's the instrument that called to him. He's playing it, but there's no disconnect. It's like the
Yeah.
instrument, everything is just like,
It's
it's
amazing.
organic.
Yeah, it's
And it was just
incredible.
like, that he's doing it, I want to do it, I can do that too. And I want other people to feel that way when they see it. So
Well, I
And I'm
appreciate
seeing more
that.
of it. That's what's also so
That.
cool. Is there's that South African cellist.
Yes, 100%.
You know, it's just like so. I don't know. I really think that you are serving,
Oh, very
and
kind.
it's just, yeah, it's a gift.
Well, this is why I'm excited for this conversation, because the thing is, I know that there are more people that if we release our collective unique frequency of love, we're going to inspire more people. There are more people that need to see this. There are more people that need to have these conversations. And I hope that this is just the first of many that will continue, and we'll continue to in some ways change the world, but at least change our world. That's the most important thing.